Hi everyone, welcome to Coding Club. Today and every day in October, because I, like probably everyone, right, loves Halloween. Um, so we are gonna be making, what's today? The 6th. So however many days that is. Actually, I'm just gonna pull up a calendar. So that week-wise, if today is the 6th, so 1, 2, 3, 4 days of Halloween activities, which I think is going to be pretty cool. Um, so if you all have like any specific Halloween games or anything that you're thinking about that you want to make, let me know. I'll kind of be like doing my own projects. Um, but yeah, any ideas that you have. So I think today I wanted to make um, like a bit of a monster generator. So a monster would be like getting created. Let me go ahead and close some of these windows because my computer is struggling. All right. Can you guys hear me okay? Is the stream doing okay? That's awesome. Yeah, Jameson, we don't have quite as many people as we did back in the Zoom days. We usually get like five each day. But welcome. So should we do a haunted house or like a scary monster generator? Which one? Looks like we have 3 people here. What do you think? I'll type it in the chat too. So there's 4 of you here. I know some of you must have opinions. And for those of you, okay, cool, we can do a haunted house. And for those of you who just got here, you can go ahead and follow along in the sandbox. We're not following a tutorial today. I just posted the link in the chat, so you can go ahead and follow along there. Cool, so let's go ahead and get started. So I think if we're going to do a haunted house, so we should probably set up the haunted house and then make different click events. So a good example, I actually just added it to the gallery. And I would obviously encourage you all to post your spooky projects to the gallery. But it's essentially, it's going to take a second to load. But it's just a house and you hover over the windows and you get different like spookiness happening. I'm probably going to make it more of like a room. And then we can go through and like click on the different things in the room and make them haunted, I guess. So let's go ahead and do that. And as always, you all can submit your projects to the gallery if you go to the link and then just go to the bottom. There's like a form to submit them. I'll post a link to the gallery in here as well. Cool. So I think to start, we probably just want to set up like a background to our house, right? So we could upload something. I have all these pictures here because we're doing a face tracking tutorial for Hour of Code. So these are just like forever gallery. But let's see, what's a good... I actually think I'm not going to use one at all. I think I'm going to use like all emojis for this. So I'm just going to say movie.background. I'm just going to set it to black for now. It might be color. Yeah, it's color. So I'm just going to do that. As always, you guys don't have to follow me exactly. I'm going to be making like my version of a haunted house, and you can follow me to get all the click events and the animations and all of that. But I'd encourage you to use your own colors, use your own emojis, everything like that. So then the next thing I'm going to do is set up the house. So I think this is going to be like a spooky room, like an entrance to a house. At least that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do it all with emojis. And I'm going to do that just by going to the left here and dragging in the emoji button. And if I go ahead and drag that in, I'll immediately have my code here, var emoji, and then have my emoji appear here on my canvas. So let's go ahead and make this kind of spooky. The happy face isn't like super spooky. So let's go ahead and maybe add some like spooky trees. There aren't any spooky trees. I'm just gonna actually just like look through all the emojis and see where the spooky ones are. So as always, we can go to like a copy and paste emoji site. We can use getomoji.com. I just posted it in the chat as well. And I'm just gonna look through it, see what spooky emojis we have available to us for this haunted house. So it looks like we have this scary clown, we have these weird masks, we have these devils, we have a ghost, we have some skulls. You could make the argument that a robot is spooky depending on what kind of robot it was. I think like a floating eye could be pretty spooky, like a floating brain could probably be like something someone would have in a haunted house. I really want like a spooky tree or like a graveyard or something. But I guess the first thing I could have would be like a moon, right? So I'm gonna do that first actually. So I'm just gonna copy and paste this moon into here. It's a string, so I'm gonna want it to be inside of my quotation marks. And then I'm gonna change this variable to just be moon. And then here I'm going to say moon.size and change the size to be like 100 because I want it to be big. I'm also going to change, and if you ever forget which properties you have access to, you can always just click this variable name and like see the full reference here on the left. I just kind of remember because I do this all the time, that I have an X property, a Y property, so up and down, left and right. I can change the size, I can change the font, which doesn't affect emojis. I can change the rotation. And it's not on here, but I think I can also change the opacity. So I'm going to say moon.opacity, and I'm actually going to say 0.5 to make it a little bit see-through. So with opacity, 1 is totally opaque, and 0 makes it transparent. So I think to like set the ambiance, I'm going to make it about 0.4, just to make it a little bit see-through, so that we're sort of like setting the mood, I guess, for lack of a better word. And then I'm going to go ahead and change the X and Y position. I'm just going to do that directly in the text function as arguments. So I'm going to say comma like 20. No, more than that because I want to move it all the way over. So if I hover over it, it looks like this is about 400. So I could say like 450 and then like 35. I'm just going to make it bigger. All right, cool. I have one part of my haunted house done. And if you guys have any ideas about what to include, let me know. I am open to ideas here. Maybe like a werewolf. All right, let's see. So what's next? So I think next I actually want like a floor to this like spooky haunted house. So I'm gonna go down and drag in my rectangle. There we go. Nothing's visible, and that's because it's a black rectangle on a black background. So the first thing I'm gonna do is actually change this to be like more of like a dark purple. There we go. So now I can actually see my rectangle, and then I don't know what color my like platform should be. Like my actual sort of floor. Maybe like brown. Like, is that a good, I guess it could be like wood. So I'm gonna just say brown for now. It's a really ugly brown color. I'm just gonna make it purple. It's a purple floor, we can always change it later. And then if you remember, this is, I would pass in the X position, which is left and right, Y position, width and height. There's actually, so the first thing I'm gonna do is move it down, which is my floor. So I'm gonna keep the X position where it is. I want that at 0, I want it to be right at the corner. And then I'm gonna move it down to be like 400, 300, like 350. Okay, so that's looking good. And then there's actually a trick here. So I could, for the width, play around until this was right, but I could also just say movie.width, and it's automatically going to stretch all the way across, because that is something that is like stored on VidCode, the width of my canvas at all times. It just is. So I can use it here instead of like as a person figuring out what it is, and it saves me time. I'm going to change this variable name to just be floor. Cool. So then let's see. What else do I want? We could put some stars in the sky, right? This is becoming less of a haunted house and more of just like a spooky scene, which like I think is fine. Like maybe I'm making like a graveyard instead. So I'm gonna go back here and choose the stars emoji. This is my favorite one. I use it all the time with the 3 sparkles. I just like it. I think it's pretty. So I'm gonna copy that, and actually I want to make a bunch here. So I think, do you all remember, looks like we only have a couple people here today, but do you all remember like what sort of programming thing we use if we want to do something more than once? What's that called? So normally all my code is just read once, sort of the same way I would read like a book or a paper, right? But sometimes I can do something in my code that tells it to like stop here. I want you to do this 10 times or 100 times or forever. Close Jamerson, we'd want to use a loop. And we can put an if then in a loop to tell it when to stop. So I'm going to go ahead and drag in a for loop here, I think. So a for loop is just going to loop through itself as many times as I tell it to. So this number here is what's telling it how many times to go through. So this I variable is just going to start at 0, and every time it loops, it's going to go up by 1. And then once it gets to this number, it's going to stop. That's going to be it. So then let's set it to 10 for now, and then I want that many stars in the sky. So I'm going to say, I'm going to drag in emoji again. And then I'm actually going to replace the smiley face with my sparkles. So repeat is, it's a bit confusing. Yeah, Ria, again. So we're actually using a loop that isn't repeat. So on VidCode, we usually use a repeat loop, and that's what tells our code to like run over and over again for things like animations. But there's also these built-in JavaScript loops, things like for loops, things like while loops, and those actually don't really make animations happen, but they do run multiple times. So in the case of this, I'm going to set the X position to be math.random times movie.width. And then it'll go all the way across. And so now I don't have to place it, right? It is on its own filling up the sky. And then for the Y position, I'm going to say math.random times like 300. That looks so nice. So that was like so much easier than me having to manually place these stars. I'm also going to make them a little bit transparent. I'm going to change this variable to be called star. Then I'm just going to say star.opacity equals like 0.5, just to make it a little bit more transparent. And then, I'm not sure, Jamerson. and I can look into it. But it might also be the size of your canvas. So if you chose a picture or something, it might just be like a weird dimension. So like there's just sides showing up, which is totally fine. I'm actually going to change the order of this as well. I want the stars to be on the screen before my moon because I want my moon to cover them. So I'm going to move my stars and put them to the top of my code. And then I'm going to make them a bit more transparent and make my moon a bit more opaque so that I can get the feeling of like the moon being closer. And then I'm gonna add some randomness to my stars. So I'm gonna say star.size equals, and I'm gonna say, let's do like math.random times, so the default is 55, so I'm gonna say times 35 plus 20. Not enough variation, times 45 plus 10. There we go, that's pretty. And then if I want to add more stars, which I do, it's as simple as just changing how many times this loop repeats. So it's so much easier than doing this manually. So I'm going to say I want 100 stars, and it'll probably take a second to load. And it does. There it is. They're beautiful. I'm not going to have that many stars. I'm going to have 60 stars. Even that's too many. I'm going to have 40 stars. Awesome. So I can press this button. Usually stars go all the way to the floor, so I am going to multiply this by 300 instead. If they do go below, it's totally fine. My rectangle will cover them. And I think that looks pretty good. Next thing I'm going to do is have a witch animate across the sky. This is becoming less of a haunted house and more of a like what? Like a graveyard? Like a spooky graveyard. But I think that that is totally fine. I'm down with a spooky graveyard. So let's go ahead and find a witch emoji. And if you both have any ideas about like which one to use as a witch emoji, let me know. I have no idea. I'm not sure there is one. I could use like a broom emoji. There's these guys. What are these? They look like dolls, I think. I could do like a bicycle across the sky. Like, have you seen like Wizard of Oz? There's like a witch that like bikes across the sky. Definitely want a spider web in this at some point. Here we go, found one. I found the witches. So I really want like a full body witch. Maybe I'll have like a scary zombie instead that pops up after like 3 seconds. I like that idea. So I'm gonna copy my zombie. Or actually, yeah, copy a zombie. And then I'm gonna go ahead and once again drag in emoji. There it is. And then the first thing I'm gonna do is paste my zombie in and then change this name to be zombie. And then I'm gonna make it a lot bigger because I want it to be really scary. So zombie.size equals 500. Is that too big? Oh no, that's perfect. I love that for this project. And then I'm gonna move it over a little bit. Probably like, okay, I'm making it a little smaller. 40. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead, move it over a little bit more. I really want my scary zombie centered. Okay, perfect. So then basically what I want to do is have my viewer be distracted. So I want them to be like focused on something else. And then after a few seconds, I want my scary zombie to appear. For this one, I actually would use a repeat loop and an if-else statement, Jamerson. So here, let me press enter a bunch of times so you guys can see my like oldest code, or my newest code. So here, I'm gonna wanna bring in a repeat loop because I want this code to be checked over and over and over and over again. So on vid code, only the code inside repeat loops gets like run over and over again as my project runs. So here I'm going to drag in, I don't need if else, I just need an if. And basically conditionals check if something's true. So if X seconds have passed, do something. If the user clicks, do something. If I scream at my computer, do something. It's the basis of so much logic that we're going to do in programming. So here, I'm actually going to make a timer. So I'm going to say var timer equals 0. This is going to keep track of my time. I'm just going to say like after 5 loops, my zombie's going to appear. So each repeat loop, I'm going to say timer. It could be timer equals timer. I basically want to add 1 to this timer variable every time it loops, and I can just do that with plus plus. So now every time this repeat function goes, my timer starts at 0 and is going to go from 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up forever until I close this screen. If you left this project open, timer could be up to thousands of numbers. So then if, let's say, timer is greater than 4, and I'm going to set my zombie to be just like totally transparent. I have to spell opacity correctly. And then if timer is greater than 4, I'm going to say zombie.opacity, and I'm going to set it equal to 1. And then it's going to appear. Yeah, there it is. So, okay, so here's my project when it loads. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to give it more time because I want someone to be scared. And then I want some kind of like scary sound to load with it. So I'm going to like actually look up Screams MP3. Free scream sound effects. Amazing. Here, let's hear it. Yeah, that seems fine. First one I found. So I'm going to download the MP3. VidCode works with MP3s better than WAVs. So if you are choosing sounds for your own project, I'd recommend using MP3s. And then I'm going to go back here, click my audio tab, and just upload the file. arg.mp3. It is uploaded. And then I forget how to turn sounds on and off. We're going to have to remember how to do this together. Let me see if there's, so there's audio here. So it looks like I should be able to turn it on, like set it to be happening, only if this is going. So let me drag this in. Oh, I have to turn my sound on. So annoying. Okay, so so I only want it when the zombie appears. So I'm gonna put this in here. Oh God. What an absolute nightmare. So that was it being in a loop. Let me make sure that that's not happening anymore. Oh God, it still is. All right, I'm refreshing this project. Don't put your sounds in loops is I think what I just learned. Um, so I copied all my code. I'm gonna drag it in. This is still going fast. So here I'm actually gonna bring in, I'm gonna go back here and look at audio again. And it looks like I can just set like audio to nothing. So I'm gonna set just like scream to this like empty audio function, this audio object, and then inside this if statement, I'm gonna say scream dot source, and I think this will work, but I'm not 100% sure. Equals aagh1.mp3. Okay, so let's see if this works. So now I'm not like creating I like wish it would turn off when I turned it off. Okay, sounds off again. Anyway, that's like the general idea. So you're gonna wanna like set a variable to that audio function and then update the source. There should be a way to change the like loudness as well. And I'm actually gonna say else here. Scream.source equals none. So let's see if that works. That maybe should. I don't know. Oh my god, sound is so annoying. Okay, yeah, it might be a bug, Jamerson. And it might also be that I'm doing it wrong. I know there's a way to set it so that it only plays once. One thing we could do here is like just log like audio, and then it should give us what's in it. So what I did just now was just use the log function and just straight up call the audio function just to see what gets passed in. So it looks like I should be able to set muted to on and off. I should be able to change if it repeats or not. I should be able to change the volume. So let's try that. Let's try like scream.volume equals 0. And I'll call this as the source by default. And then here I'm going to say scream.volume just equals 1. And we can see if that works. And that trick I just did, where I like said log and called the function, you guys can do that with anything. Like any functions on VidCode, any functions in like the regular world. It's a great way to sort of peek inside and see how something works. All right, let's see how this goes. I don't know, I'm tired of listening to it. But it is a scary scream. Anyway, so I'm actually going to end a little bit early today. But like I said, we are going to be meeting every single Tuesday in October to make different spooky projects. We're going to make spooky games. And I want all of you to submit the projects to the gallery because I really deeply in my heart want to just flood it with like Halloween silliness for the month of October. So I'm feeling good about this one. I'm going to publish it. Zombie Scare. If anyone wants to remix the project, I don't have any graphics in it. I just have the emojis. So you should be able to remix it no problem. So there's the link. I probably, if you do remix it, I'd recommend making maybe like a graveyard in the background, showing maybe like a spider web or something. Then next week I think could make more of a game, maybe like a trick-or-treating game where like people show up to your door and they need specific candy and you give them the wrong candy and they get mad at you. Or we could make like a socially distant Halloween game where you just throw candy at trick-or-treaters as they pass by. I think that could be fun as well. So let me see if anyone submitted a project. Oh yeah, we got one. So it looks like Yug left early but made a project that I'll show you all. So here is Yug's project. It looks like we got as far as, oh, this is pretty. So we have like this like questionable tomato that I don't totally understand. Maybe they were like growing a tomato. But I like that the like moon opacity changes over time. I think that's really pretty. And I wish I had sort of made my stars twinkle, like have them kind of change in opacity, like back and forth, to make it look more of like a realistic night sky. And to do that, I would have just put it in a repeat function as well. And probably just checked if it was like an even or odd number, like if my timer was even or odd, and just change the opacity based on that. No problem, Jamerson. Oh, there's Jamerson's. Do you mind if I show it? So I obviously have to assume that something's gonna jump out and scare me. So I'm pulling up Jamerson's project now, if you're watching this in the future. So these all get recorded for those of you who are here as well, here right now as well. If you want to watch them later, they'll get recorded. They're available on our YouTube channel. Oh, this is beautiful. We have our generative stars. We have our jumping ghosts. Is anything going to jump out and scare me? Okay, no. And then we have music. I love it. It's a beautiful, well-themed project. I think it's really beautiful when like the stars overlap a little bit actually. Like I think this makes a much prettier effect than my like twinkly stars do. This is amazing. That's okay. Let me see if there's any other projects in here. No, I think that's it for today. So thank you so much. Yeah, Jamerson, there's a lot fewer people here than there were back in the spring. I think everyone got busy with school. But hopefully they're fun to come back and watch. And like I said, I'm going to be continuing to do like spooky Halloween projects because I want to, and it sounds fun. So thank you for joining today. Jamerson was here. Let's see who else was here. Rio was here. It's great to see you both, and see you next Tuesday.